Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we're going to be looking at the return, yes the return, of Jenson Button. No, he's not returning as a Formula 1 driver. That would be great. Fernando Alonso is coming back for the 2021 season. Why couldn't Jenson Button? No, he's not coming back for being a driver. He's coming back in a senior advisor role for the Williams team, the team he first came into the sport that many years ago, over 20 years ago. So yes, Jenson Button will be returning as a senior advisor, and we're going to be looking into that and a bit more in depth. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, Williams have decided to bring on Jenson Button as a senior advisor under this sort of new ownership that the team now have. We've obviously discussed it in the past. It's now a US investment firm, Drillison Capital. I think that's how you sort of pronounce their name. They took over from Sir Frank Williams and Claire Williams after they stepped down from their leadership roles last year. Simon Roberts was appointed team principal. I think that is actually a permanent basis now. So Simon Roberts will be the permanent team principal. They've also brought in ex-McLaren boss Jos Capito. He's been appointed CEO of the company. So they have been making sort of key appointments in this last, say, 6 months that they've taken over the sort of Williams racing name. Like I said, in this last couple of days, they've also added Jenson Button into that role as well. Like I said, he will be coming back to the team after the team he started his Formula 1 career in over 20 years ago. He will be joining as a senior advisor, and it's on a multi-year deal. So obviously, he was a 20-year-old F1 rookie when he joined in 2000, he sort of the team have come back and says, as a part of his role at Williams, Jenson will be able to call upon Jenson's over 30 years motorsport experience to provide advice and guidance to the team at Grove, along with helping support and develop both race and academy drivers. And I think that's important. We've seen the progression of George Russell, since he's gone there from sort of the Mercedes part. I think we're yet to see what Nicholas Latifi can really do. I mean, George Russell has sort of outpaced both teammates he's had at Williams and his F1 career so far. Obviously, the first season he had Robert Kubica in there, and like I said, he's sort of brushed past Latifi really. So it'd be interesting to see if Button can help sort of rejuvenate Nicholas Latifi's sort of F1 career. Button's obviously gone on to say, "I'm so delighted to once again be able to say that I've signed for Williams. Back when I was 19, it was a moment that changed my life, and sort of I've come back and I already feel like I haven't left the team." Sir Frank Williams showed faith in me, which I'll be eternally grateful for, and I'm incredibly excited to have the chance to come back and help the team as it strives once more for success. And we know that Williams has sort of struggled in the last few years of the sport, being around very much the back of the grid. Last year was a step up, which was good. They were fighting the sort of Alfa Romeos and Hasses. George Russell in qualifying was getting absolute most out of that Williams car, and sometimes getting up as into Q2. Sometimes he was getting absolutely everything, like I said, out of that car, which is full credit to him. Like I said, Jos Capito is coming in, the incoming CEO of Williams as well. He's also gone to say bringing Jenson back on board is another positive step to help us move forward as a team, both on and off the track. I know everyone at Grove has huge respect for him, and we're delighted to see him coming back to work for us. Now, obviously, I know this. He lives in America at the moment, and I think he will still be working with Sky Sports as well. So he will be working. I think over the weekends when he's there, he'll be working with Sky and Williams at the sort of same time. For Jenson Button, really, it's a sort of lovely role, really, to be a senior advisor, still being in that F1 environment. Still going to race weekends, and then still working as a sort of analysis on Sky as well. So he came back and sort of did a interview with Sky Sports F1, and he went a bit more in depth, saying, "I've really enjoyed getting back into Formula 1 and seeing it obviously change over the last few years. It's felt like a perfect moment to rejoin Williams. Like I said, the team that gave me many opportunities when I started in my career. and they nurtured me throughout that year, and it was a very special year for me when I was there. So it feels like the right time to rejoin the team, and I'm excited about working with them to help this team back to the front. And I think, I can't remember who said it a few years ago, where they've said that Williams is basically everybody's second favourite team, and I'd sort of go off that. I've always been a big McLaren fan, but there's always had that. I think I've always had that soft spot for Williams, and it's been a bit painful to see them so far down the grid over the last few years. And like I said, they have made changes. It has been a bit more positive in the last 12 months, but I think now having that investment, progressing hopefully for 2022 onwards, I think that's the most important thing for Williams now. Trying to use as much of George Russell as possible, because we don't know how long he's going to be at Williams. It may be the next contract he signs is actually at Mercedes, depending on what Hamilton or Bottas do. So I think it's very much nurturing him to go on to more successful, I expect. But again, nurturing Nicholas Latifi, and then whoever next comes in to the Williams team. But yeah, so I think he will be, I expect, already helping them in terms of advisory, whether that be over Zoom calls or Skype or whatever. I still think that experience is probably already being utilised. So yeah, I think it is a very much a key appointment, and I think he will be important, as I said, as it will be everybody else that the new owners of Williams have already gone on to sign. I think I wouldn't say this year's the most important for Williams, because we all know that this year is basically a sort of updated version of last year's car, should I say. I think it's next year that we're going to really see big changes in the sport that we all want to watch every other weekend from March to December. So I think I think this year is very much just keeping that little progression that they did last year. And like I said, trying to use and utilise everything that they can. They're obviously going to make a few tweaks in terms of the aero and everything during the season, but yeah, it is more or less last season's car with a bit of tweaks. So I think they're obviously going to be aiming for 2022 onwards. But yeah, and I also think Jenson Button might be looking at driving some of the historical cars as well. So again, that might be more in terms of the marketing and the sponsors. So yeah, they're probably going to get as much out of Jenson Button as possible, and I think he's going to really enjoy that role. And Jenson's being one of my favourite Formula One drivers ever. It's going to be great to see him more than maybe he was last year with Sky, more at the races and many race weekends as possible. So yeah, I mean, in terms of answering the question, do I think Jenson Button is going to be a key sort of role and it's going to be important for Williams going forward? Absolutely, I really do think. I think, like I said, his knowledge, he's a Formula One world champion. He's been with many Formula One teams in the past as well, not just Williams, Honda, Brawn, McLaren. So I think he has that huge experience of being in multiple teams, having multiple team principals as bosses, knowledge, engineers, everything. So I think he is vital. Yes, okay, he's been out of the sport a couple of years, but you never lose that experience. And I think as well, not just for the team and the engineers and the sort of the main bosses now going forward at Williams, but going back to the drivers as well. Somebody like George Russell or Latifi. That's going to be absolutely huge knowledge, and they'll seriously want to sort of drain as much knowledge out of Jenson as absolutely possible. And I think he'll be happy to do that. I mean, why wouldn't you want to share knowledge if you have that as a world champion in the sport? So I think it'll be a huge positive for Williams to have that, and hopefully it can help progress them even more up the grid. Maybe this year, but I'm expecting a lot more from them in 2022. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Do you think it's a huge positive that they've announced Jenson Button as a senior advisor at Williams? And where do you think Williams are going to finish this season? Do you think they're still going to be at the back of the grid? Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.